They are of inestimable value and incredibly sought after.
We're about to witness an auction where, in my opinion, the most beautiful race car ever built will be auctioned off.
These timeless works of art on wheels tell tales of heroes and glory.
This is the seat where Maria Callas used to sit.
And that's how rare premium cars turn into cult objects.
These days, it's just good form for wealthy people to have cars like this.
25, 13 million.
And if a true legend is to be had, collectors will pay almost any price.
This is a unique moment in automotive history.
The car is sold! €40 million.
Mercedes Classic Center, Stuttgart. The day dawns. But this isn't just another day in the workshop. A legend is being put to the test. A Mercedes W196, a so-called Streamliner. One of the most famous cars in automotive history. And perhaps, soon, one of the most valuable. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum wants to auction it off. Christian Biederstedt knows everything there is to know about the Streamliner. He's the manager of the Mercedes archive. Together with workshop manager Tim Brilla, he inspects this museum piece before the auction.
Number 26, just as it's documented.
The racing cars from the W196R series are world-famous racing cars, the so-called Silver Arrows from the 1950s, which brought Mercedes a series of great victories. The car we have here today was driven by two very famous racing drivers, Juan Manuel Fangio and Stirling Moss.
With the Streamliner, Mercedes achieved the pinnacle of success in 1955.
The Italian Grand Prix on the new Monza track, a combination of road and racetrack.
With Juan Manuel Fangio and Stirling Moss, Mercedes had two of the greatest racing drivers of all time at their disposal.
Top speeds of 300 kilometers per hour are possible.
All Silver Arrows were based on one basic design, a tube space frame. The principle was far ahead of its time. These innovative racing cars celebrated victory after victory.
Fangio wins again and becomes world champion for the second time in a Mercedes-Benz racing car.
This W196 appears to have weathered the decades since its racing days well.
And to think that this vehicle is still in such good condition and has survived the passage of time so well. 70 years. Is it really possible? Is that how long it's been? That's a tremendous achievement.
Mercedes used different designs depending on the track. 4 of the fully enclosed Streamliners have been preserved to this day. In addition to the fully enclosed models, there are 6 models with exposed wheels. All vehicles are based on the same tubular space frame construction. One frame, 2 bodies.
On the one hand, there was the monopost with exposed wheels, as we have here with number 9. And on the other hand, there was this streamlined design, which was advantageous for high-speed tracks, such as the last race in Italy, for example, where there were really long corners. And they were also useful in steep corners, where you could drive much faster with a body like this, thanks to its streamlined shape, of course. The single-seaters with exposed wheels, you could corner much more abruptly. They also had better visibility in tighter corners.
Streamliners made their Formula One debut in 1954. The aluminum fairing reduced air resistance, which was a decisive advantage on high-speed tracks such as Monza. The W196 ushered in a new era of motorsport.
It's simple, an era that shaped Mercedes in racing, and that was also shaped by Mercedes, clearly. And what also makes it special is that they withdrew from racing at the end of the 1955 season. In other words, they stopped racing at the height of their success. And so in this case, these are the icons that remain from that era.
The winning streak comes to an abrupt end at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1955. A rear-end collision launches one Silver Arrow up into the air. The crowd of spectators is strewn with debris. 83 spectators and driver Pierre Levesque are killed. It is the greatest tragedy in the history of racing. Following the disaster, Mercedes withdrew from the race that same night. The legendary Silver Arrows are taken out of service. 70 years later, one of those legends is back on stage. This may soon be the most expensive race car of all time. The vehicle is examined as if it were undergoing a medical checkup. Christian Biederstedt and workshop manager Tim Brilla compare the numbers on the vehicle with the documents from the Mercedes archive. The archive is the collective memory of the company. Countless automotive histories are documented here. Only selected employees have access to it. This is to keep counterfeiters out.
Let's take a look here.
Right.
That's the chassis number.
So we know that the numbers are correct.
0954. That definitely matches.
Perfect.
The first step is to check whether the numbers stamped on the chassis and components match those in the documents. These matching numbers are proof of original condition. Tim Brilla is a project manager at the Mercedes Classic Center. He analyzes the overall condition of the race car. However, some things have indeed changed. In 1980, the car was repainted at the Indianapolis Museum, though in its original silver metallic color. Today, such repainting would be unthinkable. Any change to the original is now considered sacrilegious.
We really assess the actual condition, and no one knows what surprises the car might be hiding. We hope that we can always give the customer good news, of course, but it's basically an inventory, and we're really completely unemotional about it. For us, this is very important because these vehicles are so valuable and generate such enthusiasm. And so it's important to confirm their authenticity and ensure there are no counterfeits out there.
A vehicle appraisal is like putting together a puzzle. Precise methods are needed to determine the overall condition. One of these is spectral analysis. This involves grinding metal to produce a gas mixture. The analysis reveals the year the steel was manufactured.
Why don't we disclose this information? Because we also perform spectral analyses at various points on certain vehicles. And if counterfeiters knew that we do X at point Y, they'd alter those points in such a way that we wouldn't be able to recognize that it's a counterfeit. That's why certain elements are just highly secretive. Or even from the archive, there are only certain documents available when customer inquiries are selected. While internally, of course, we have restricted access to a great deal of documentation that we can review to confirm originality.
Gradually, the separate elements of the investigation converge to form a complete picture.
It's detective work, and that's also what makes it fun when you find something and then challenge it.
We still have the other parts too, of course, but both of them are listed right here.
We still need to check the front and rear axles to make sure they're the same ones that were used on the vehicle that went to Indianapolis.
Right, and the same goes for the tank and the clutch.
Markus Breitschwert is head of Mercedes Heritage, the group's classic car division. He will be hosting the event. The auction will take place in the Mercedes Museum, his museum. For car collectors, it will be a spectacle like no other.
When the very essence of a certain era, a certain way of life, is distilled into something like this, and you can sense an entire zeitgeist around it, then the collectability potential of such an object is clearly extraordinary.
Together with Sotheby's director Gord Duff, Breitschwert will present the results.
We're going to witness an auction here at which, in my opinion, the most beautiful racing car of all time will be auctioned off. Take a look at this car today, and no matter who you ask, everyone will tell you what a wonderful car it is. And it's a car that dates from 1955, which means that it's 70 years old. That alone is a statement, one that demonstrates what makes an object a collector's item.
Expectations are high. Sotheby's auction house estimates the potential proceeds at more than 50 million euros. Cars that are sublime and rare become more valuable over time. Florian Urbich knows. Here, he's driving a Ferrari 250 GT.
Der pure Fahrgenuss.
Pure driving pleasure, without assistance systems, without cruise control.
Ohne Tempomat.
And you still have to shift gears manually here. And you can really feel the 12-cylinder engine.
Toll spüren.
The 250 GT Cabriolet Pininfarina belongs to the Low collection. Urbich represents the collection, one of the most prestigious in Germany and one of the most valuable. This Ferrari would probably fetch tens of millions on the collector's market.
This is a car from the era when Ferrari became big, the 250. The series represents the heyday of Ferrari's rise.
And
when you drive it, you understand where the fascination with classic cars comes from. It's very easy to get excited about it.
For many, driving a car like this remains a dream. Florian Urbich gets to live that dream. His job is his dream. This is where this gem calls home. The Low collection at the National Automobile Museum in the town of Dietzeltal, Germany. Rare specimens are arranged in close proximity. Their history, their previous owners, and their backstories are what make these cars such rarities.
Like most of the cars here in the National Automobile Museum, this one also tells a very special story. The vehicle was ordered by a hotel owner from Haiti. But you have to know that at the time the car was delivered, there were only about 50 kilometers of road in Haiti. And don't get me wrong, I don't mean 50 kilometers of highway. Now, I can only imagine what this car might have meant to its owner in Haiti. He certainly bought it because of its design, because he saw it as a sculpture and, logically, probably as a status symbol. Because he was almost certainly the only person in Haiti who drove a Lamborghini. He ordered a few special features for this vehicle, including the bright red paintwork, the silver front bumper, and the headlight inlays, as well as the special interior. By the way, these doors are unique to Lamborghini. They first appeared on the Countach, and every 12-cylinder Lamborghini still has them today.
A car without a road. What remains is a pure cult object, inside and out.
The interior is even more special in that the first owner wanted it exactly in this combination. And the whole thing was then crowned by this plaque here. which states that this car was built especially for its first owner.
den Erstbesitzer gebaut wurde.
The casino owner was not only a confidant of the dictator, he also had close ties to the CIA. Now, the supercar is a witness to history. Just like this behemoth, the Maybach was developed as a test vehicle for the tire manufacturer Fulda. It can reach speeds of over 350 kilometers per hour.
Sieht ja schon aus
It really looks like something out of a futuristic movie.
Film rausgefallen. Das ist
This is the one-off, custom-built 2005 Maybach Accelero.
irgendwann wurde als
At some point, it was no longer needed as a show car, so it passed into private hands,
so recht
and no one really knew where it was.
gehört
Some speculated that it was owned by a Russian oligarch, an American multi-billionaire, or even Jay-Z.
gab es ein deutsches Boulevardmagazin, das
A German tabloid magazine published a picture of the Accelero with a caption explaining that Jay-Z gave it to Beyoncé as a gift for $22 million.
Beyoncé geschenkt und für 22 Millionen
But that was
Dollar.
nonsense too, because it never belonged to
Aber auch,
Jay-Z,
hat nie Jay-Z
and has
gehört
been here in Mr. Lowe's collection for quite a while now.
in der Sammlung von Herrn Loh.
When it comes to super classic cars, one name always stands out: Friedhelm Loh, a true super collector. This is his empire. The German billionaire is a passionate car hunter. His love for fine automobiles began during his childhood and never let go.
10 Jahre alt.
Since I was 10 years old, I've always been a car freak, even as a little boy. Cars, cars, cars.
Meines Vaters,
And then one day, a friend of my father's came to visit my father in a 190 SL with a chauffeur with a chauffeur's suit and chauffeur's cap. Just imagine it, in a convertible. But that was the 1950s.
fasziniert.
I was so fascinated by that car. I would have loved to climb right in and do what 10-year-olds do. But the chauffeur's job was to keep me as far away as possible so nothing would happen to this brand new car.
Brandneuen Auto, ja, nichts
I don't know how long I walked around that car and looked at it,
dieses Auto drumherum
but the
gelaufen
image of that car has been permanently etched into my memory.
Dieses Autos hat sich bei mir
If I
komplett
were a painter, I would have painted it
Auf
today.
Deutsch gesagt, wenn ich malen könnte, dann hätte ich es heute Ihnen gemalt.
Loh doesn't paint, he collects. His hobby is growing into something gigantic. Industrial buildings are filling up with legendary cars, like this Lincoln Continental that once belonged to US President Kennedy. At first, Loh himself went to auctions, but now the scouts come to him. Everyone knows what appeals to Loh: vehicles with history, preferably ones that have made history.
Ja, das Besondere an der Geschichte
The special story here is that, first of all, this Ferrari was driven by Schumacher,
einmal von
who
Schumacher
won his
gefahren
third
wurde,
world
und
championship
der
in this
dieses
car.
Auto seine dritte Weltmeisterschaft gewonnen hat.
And Michael Schumacher not only wins in Japan, but also the 2000 Formula One Championship.
Und das Zweite, es war der
And the second thing, it was the Italians' liberation after a long period of unsuccessful racing and their first success with Schumacher, a German. And, as had already been the case in tennis, when it was a German, Schumacher, who drove it, the World Championship suddenly took on a whole new meaning.
And so, this car became a witness to history. That's what makes all these cars almost priceless today. Sometimes, people and cars are a perfect match, as if they were made for each other. Maria Callas was one of the world's most famous opera divas. The Mercedes 600 stood for luxury and elegance. Just the thing for La Divina, the divine one. Mercedes has now turned this into a business. Cars with famous previous owners are often worth many times their original value. Mercedes also deals in legends.
We want to preserve a certain patina. If we had completely restored the vehicle now, the only evidence left would be the logbook with her name in it and the vehicle documents. But what we want here is to preserve the exact seat where she sat. We want to capture the feeling of 1971, when the vehicle was delivered.
The vehicle passed from the diva's possession to the private collection of an opera lover. Mercedes bought the 600 in a dilapidated condition. It had not moved for decades. Now, it's being carefully restored. Patrick Gottwig is head of vehicle sales at Mercedes-Benz Classic.
The windows are functioning properly?
Yes, the windows are working again. The hydraulic system seals are tight. The seat adjustment is working again. The door panels have been removed, cleaned and repaired. Various rubber bearings have been replaced underneath the axles. We've dismantled and repaired the exhaust system.
Super.
And we got the vehicle running.
Good. After such a long period of inactivity, it was important to do all that. The steering wheel adjustment also works perfectly, so we've got that working really well too, and the carpet has also turned out really well. We've kept the original one, which is great.
We cleaned everything thoroughly and tried to keep it all in its original condition.
What was important to us was that all the elements that the previous owner had come in contact with were preserved, that they remained where they were back when she rode in the car, that the radio controls she had used were preserved, everything exactly as it was back then. So this is the seat where Maria Callas sat, right here.
That's right.
This interior lighting is great. And the radio controls.
Good.
Very good. Excellent.
Gottwig hopes to find a buyer whose heart beats not only for classic cars, but also for classical music. The vehicle is in good technical condition, and the traces of its history remain intact.
The new belts have been installed.
The battery's been replaced.
Okay. And I think the vehicle retains a nice patina and hasn't been completely restored, which is what makes it special.
The diva usually took her 600 with her when traveling to opera houses all over Europe. This is confirmed by the original documents.
Here we have some additional documentation that we received from the collector. A photo with Maria Callas' signature here at the top, which you can see very clearly, 1977, and other pictures of her, all of which belong to the vehicle, and of course a collection of Maria Callas records. We are seeing in the market that vehicles with a prominent previous owner are slightly more expensive. Now, with someone as prominent as Maria Callas, it is reasonable to assume that there will be at least a few collectors who are specifically looking for such a vehicle. And here we have the original logbook. And the service booklet is also very interesting, of course. We can see on the second page that the vehicle was delivered to Maria Callas at her French address at the time, and that she confirmed receipt in 1971.
Now it's off to Paris to Retromobile, one of the world's most important classic car shows. Mercedes doesn't just want to preserve these classic cars, it also wants to make money from them. It's a lucrative business. Plenty of hunters and collectors have already registered to bid on the 600. If the sedan fetches a good price, the restoration will have paid off. Perhaps an opera fan who dreams of the diva will come forward. Polling, Germany, south of Munich. The small community is home to the largest collection of Mercedes 300 SLs in the world, an automotive treasure trove. The company HK Engineering specializes in cult classic cars. Hans Kleisel built the workshops and is something of a guru when it comes to restoring 300 SLs. When a collector's car is finished, Kleisel insists on taking it for a test drive.
This is a car that's a lot of fun to drive. Every 300 SL is a little different. If you have the right antennae, you can feel the differences. This is a car that I'd say is at the upper end of the scale. It's great fun to drive. The engine is nice and quiet and powerful. So you're still the one driving the car and not the other way round.
Kleisel travels around the globe to find the hidden remaining cult classic cars in storage facilities and garages. At some point, even the last treasures are brought out of the darkness.
Of course, there are fewer barn finds now, but it hasn't stopped completely. 5 years ago, I thought that a year had gone by without any barn finds, and so I thought it was over. And then the following year, 5 more cars suddenly turned up. Cars that had been sitting somewhere gathering dust for 40 years.
Around 3,200 Gullwings and Roadsters were produced between 1954 and 1963. Vehicles in good condition fetch millions, provided everything is authentic.
When you've been doing something like this for 40 years, you slowly learn where to look and can tell relatively quickly if a car is a fake. Let's say I have a car like this and I open the hood. I'll know within 30 seconds. But of course, there are also cases where everything is difficult and you have to examine it closely.
And the more prominent the previous owner was, the more valuable the vehicle is.
It had been lost for a long time. No one knew where it had gone. And then suddenly, a Swede brought a car to us for servicing. And lo and behold, we looked at the chassis number and saw that it was Sophia Loren's car.
Sometimes it takes years for Kleisel's hunt to be rewarded.
Then we had it here. We spent another 10 years cajoling the guy until we finally got the car. It was in pretty poor condition, of course, but we completely restored it. And yes, the great thing is that we were able to present the car to Sophia Loren in Rome last year for her 90th birthday. We were invited, you see. I knew the organizer. And we presented it as a surprise, bringing the car along. And when I told her, here's the car you used to drive back then, she said that Carlo Ponti had given it to her for her birthday and had presented it to her with open doors in the garden.
Kleisel has since sold the Loren 300 to a private collector. Cars are being loaded in Polling. They're also headed for the Retromobile in Paris, selling legends. The Mercedes Museum in Stuttgart, an automotive cathedral. More than 130 years of automotive history are gathered here. The showpiece of the collection is the Uhlenhaut Coupe. Its identical twin was auctioned in 2022 as the most expensive car in the world.
At 70 million euros.
Sotheby's auction exceeded all expectations.
The Uhlenhaut Coupe, the Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Coupe. This is it, the final shot. 100 million euros. Hammer is up. 135 million euros. Here it comes, and selling. It's yours. Sold to you, sir. Thank you very much indeed.
€135 million. With this record sale price, the car ascends to the pantheon of the world's most precious cultural assets.
We're standing here in front of the most expensive vehicle ever sold at auction for 135 million euros. And among the most expensive items ever auctioned, this vehicle ranks number 8. It's eclipsed by only 7 works of art by civilization's greatest masters.
unserer Zivilisation.
We're very pleased about this, because it confirms from the collector's market perspective that this is more than just a vehicle. It's a cultural asset.
There are two Uhlenhaut coupes, technically identical, differing only in their interior trim. The one with the red interior has been sold, while the one with the blue interior remains in the museum. Equally valuable, but not for sale.
The vehicle is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful sports cars ever built. In its day, it was by far the fastest road-legal vehicle that could be driven under normal conditions. And the irony of the story is that although it was designed as a race car to win the Sports Car World Championship for the 1956 season, it never saw any racing action.
The coupes are the brainchild of a legendary engineer. Rolf Uhlenhaut was the developer of the Silver Arrows. His mission? To keep on winning. After retiring from racing in 1955, Uhlenhaut simply drove one of the race cars himself as the most exclusive company car in automotive history.
When you look inside, it looks as if good old Rolf Uhlenhaut himself has just stepped out of it. And maybe, if you look here, he left a pack of cigarettes lying around somewhere. Uhlenhaut was not only a gifted engineer, he was also one of the best drivers of his time. Then you have a nice view here of the passenger seat, in all its frugal simplicity, you might say. Well, you don't actually need two drivers for a Sports Car World Championship, but the classification specified 2 seats. What we do have on all 196s are these huge exhaust pipes, which, when we start them up, first spit flames, and then unleash an incredible soundscape that could put an entire Harley-Davidson club to shame.
The museum's long line of Silver Arrows gleams in the limelight. From a technical perspective, they're all close relatives of the W196. The so-called Streamliner, which is now coming up for auction, does not belong to Mercedes. It's therefore a rare exception. None of these racing cars are for sale.
And here we have the W196S, basically the roadster version of the Uhlenhaut Coupe. And this is the actual original vehicle that Stirling Moss drove to victory in the 1955 Mille Miglia, covering 1,000 miles, 1,600 kilometers, in an incredible 10 hours. Now, when you divide 1,600 by 10, you get an average speed of 160 kilometers per hour on normal roads, some of which were gravel. That's a record for the ages.
In 1955, Stirling Moss drove the W196S in the Mille Miglia. The number 722 stands for the start time of 7:22 a.m.
Driving a 3-litre Mercedes from Brescia, down the coast, across to Rome and north again, he went like the wind all the way.
He achieved an historic victory. That is what now makes the car a rolling legend.
He finished over half an hour ahead of world champion Fangio. The first Briton to win this race, Moss had scored a supreme triumph.
In 2021, the race car drives once again through London. A glamorously staged farewell performance before the 300 SLR finds its new home in the Mercedes Museum. The value of this legendary car is anyone's guess.
I'm firmly convinced that this vehicle is the most valuable car in the world. There can be nothing more valuable. I estimate its value at more than €250 million, and we will never sell it.
If one of these racing legends were to be put on the market, it would cause an earthquake among collectors. But Mercedes no longer parts with the showpieces from its own collection. It's real, it's in perfect condition, and it will soon be available. Sotheby's is presenting the W196 at a small, very exclusive bidders reception. Anyone who wants to can take another look at this exquisite piece. After the Uhlenhaut Coupe, is there now a new superlative? Peter Haynes is organizing the auction for Sotheby's.
The W196 is special because I think that what we call the Silver Arrows, the Mercedes of the 1930s and the 1950s, they were such incredible machines when they appeared, and they had technology and speed that no other race team in the world could compete with, and they were very, very dominant. And of course, not many were made, and most of those that do exist are owned by Mercedes-Benz. So the opportunity to buy a car like this is sort of maybe once in a lifetime. So the fact that the opportunity has come around, really, if you're a serious collector, you may never have the opportunity again. So it's a very, very special thing. You know, these cars, all of these cars that are around us here at Mercedes-Benz Classic, they are all absolute icons. And as I say, they almost never come up for sales.
His employees have been preparing potential bidders for months. They know their customers. After all, there aren't that many in this price range worldwide.
The community of people have the liquid funds to buy it at that given moment, and are prepared to spend that level of money on a car. It's obviously a very small group of people. It's not 50 people even. It's not even 20. You know, you're looking at probably 5 to 10 people who would be seriously interested and have the financial means to buy something like this.
And exclusive customers get an exclusive tour. Mercedes calls it the Hallowed Halls. The location is secret. Rarities from the eternal Mercedes collection that are not on display are parked close together here. Only a few car enthusiasts in the world get to see this. Prototypes stand next to record-breaking vehicles. The forefathers of the Silver Arrows are parked in no particular order. There are also anecdotes about the collector's items.
Mercedes-Benz destroyed the original racing transporter in 1967. And the sad story is the car was stored in the Untertürkheim plant.
Simply presented, and yet breathtaking. One car of each series must always remain in Mercedes' possession. In addition, there are unique pieces. This is how the secret warehouse collection is created. For the group of visitors, this is a warm-up program for the big show tonight.
Let's just say you start off with 10 people who are actively bidding on it. Let's just say the bidding opens, let's just say it opens at 20 million euros. And people will drop out at certain points where when it hits 40 million, there's somebody that says, okay, I'm done now. And then the same when you get to the next 10 million. And so by the time you get to the end of the auction, normally you just will have, at this level, you will normally just have 2 people who are really prepared to go.
The exclusive warm-up session has to come to an end. Patrick Gottwig gives the signal to leave. They'll see each other at the show. Maybe it will be another record chase, like with the Uhlenhaut Coupe.
With the Uhlenhaut that we sold, I think all of us at RM Sotheby's felt that that was a truly unique experience.
135 million euros. Here it comes. And selling. It's yours. Spoke to you, sir. Thank you very much indeed.
What this car now represents is an opportunity to experience the same thing again, because nobody really expected this car to come up for sale. It has, so it's incredibly exciting.
A trade fair awakens. Early in the morning, before the customers arrive, there's a flurry of activity at the Retromobile in Paris. The Retromobile is one of the largest and most important classic car shows in the world. Hans Kleisel has also arrived. Next door is Patrick Gottwig's showpiece, the Callas 600. Even before the show opened, there were plenty of inquiries. The luxury car with its famous previous owner is perfectly in tune with the tastes of the times.
There's a great deal of interest in the vehicle. People are familiar with Maria Callas and are extremely interested in the vehicle. A success.
Mercedes wants 400,000 euros. The interest is huge.
We just had someone who made a video of the car and sent it out. And he immediately got a call from his friend who is in Paris and who now wants to come by tomorrow, if the vehicle is still there, so we can take a look at it, because he can't come today.
It's a special car. It's a part of music history. Next door, Hans Kleisel is offering his treasures for sale. He gets the Callas buzz very well.
I can understand that. My own car, which I found 25 years ago, belonged to Porfirio Rubirosa, who was a totally dazzling figure at the time, similar to James Bond. He was the biggest playboy of the 1950s, so you know that all the movie stars of the time sat in that car. And it's simple. The feeling is a little different than when you sit in any other car.
There's no such thing as just any car here at Retromobile. The classic car business has been booming ever since these fine vehicles came to be regarded as a promising investment. Patrick Gottwig is a successful negotiator.
The car is sold here at the show, and now it's coming back to Fellbach, where we'll do a few more things on it, and then in a month or so we'll deliver it.
He has achieved his target price of 400,000 euros. A good deal for Mercedes. There are also plenty of interested parties for the C111 prototype, but it remains out of reach. Stuttgart. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Now is the time for calm hands and quiet concentration at the Mercedes Classic Center. The Monza Streamliner is about to embark on a journey. In a few hours' time, it may well be one of the most expensive racing cars in the world. Sotheby's has chosen the perfect location for this multi-million-dollar spectacle, the Mercedes Museum in Stuttgart. Here, where the legends park, the big bidding is now set to take place. A wealthy throng of interested parties has registered. Markus Görig is in contact with bidders from all over the world on behalf of Sotheby's. Before the auction, he feels like he's about to attend a major theater performance.
This is a moment in automotive history that will never come again. It's highly emotional, not just for us, the auction staff, but also for the customer as well. You're all sweaty afterwards. You've got adrenaline in your blood. You sleep differently that night. It's really emotional.
Perhaps today is the last opportunity to see this rolling work of art ever again.
There is one Mona Lisa, and there are only 4 in the world of the car model behind me.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a collector.
And this is the only car available that can now be acquired by a private collector.
Only a handful of bidders will be present in the room. The others will place their bids by telephone. They want to remain anonymous. Markus Görig will also accept the bids.
We always need at least 2, and with 3 or more bidders, it's fun, I'd say, because then you have a greater variety and much more traffic.
This is the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Where should we start? Do we have
20 million euros. 20 million euros. Where's the bid? Thank you. 20 million I have. Any more bids?
The auction starts at 20 million euros and rises fast.
5 million now. There's 2.
Serious collectors are in the game.
30 million. Seated here in Stuttgart at the Mercedes-Benz Museum.
And it's not slowing down.
35 million euros. 40 million euros now. At 40 million here, live in the room.
Offers are coming in from all sides.
Telephone bank is looking busy. At 40 million I have. I'm holding your bid, sir. You are owning it for a moment, sir. Do we have a bid anywhere else now, ladies and gentlemen?
At this point, only a handful of bidders remain. It's a high-stakes duel.
Telephones. We're at 40 million now. Any further offers? 40 million euros. 42 million I have.
The tension is rising.
We're at 43 million we have. The car is on sale.
The bids keep coming.
It's gone quiet. At 43 million.
A small nod with the paddle.
44 million. You're back in, sir. Thank you. You said no. When did...
And counting.
Thank you very much. At 45 million. 46 million now. 46 million euros here in...
And then another $500,000 on top.
46.5. 46.5. I'm going to call the car. At 46,500,000 euros. At 46,500,000 euros going for the first time. At 46,500,000 euros going for the second time. And ladies and gentlemen, at 46,500,000 euros, sold here in Stuttgart by RM Sotheby's going for the third and final time, the car is sold!
46,500,000 euros. In addition to the auction price, the buyer must pay a premium of more than 10%. The Streamliner changes hands for a total of around 52 million euros.
It's above expectations. It's the second most expensive car ever auctioned, and also by far the most expensive Formula One race car.
The buyer placed his bid by telephone through an intermediary. But this much is known. He was present in the room.
In dollars, it's $55 million or something like that. It's, you know, we felt around the number that we were estimating the car at that was public before the auction was 50 million euros, and with the buyer's premium added to the hammer, we're basically there. So we're happy with that.
Sotheby's celebrates the triumph. For the Streamliner, this may be its last appearance on the big stage, and the buyer remains anonymous. Perhaps he will soon be on the hunt for the next super classic car. When cars tell stories of glory, victory, and heroic journeys, no price is too high for collectors.